Hello art friends, my name is Fleshwad, and today I have another Drawing Your Creepypasta OCs for you, but a longer version, so there's only one OC in this video. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoy. Make sure to watch this video in the dark with the lights off and your headphones on for the best viewing experience. God's Gifts Drowning, submitted by Desdemona Demonium. 8 months. It had been 8 months since Matthew's girlfriend had disappeared. It was now the evening before Easter Day, and the brunette boy had just spent the last hour at the cemetery, standing over the empty grave of Ginger Tedcastle, his missing girlfriend. They never did find her body, and the case had been closed for a month now. Matthew's heart hurt, a mystery that would never be solved. What happened to his girlfriend? "I'm sorry, Ginger," were the only words that came from the blue-eyed boy's mouth as he put some flowers next to the grave. The flowers were daffodils, Ginger's favorite. She always told Matthew that she loved them because she had read that they resembled rebirth, reincarnation. That was one thing Matthew always envied about his girlfriend, her love for the world and the idea of reincarnation or resurrection. "I'll find you." Matthew spoke again before he turned from the grave and went home to try and hopefully get at least a little bit of much-needed sleep. Getting into the house, Matthew went to the dining room where his mother was setting up dinner. "Oh, Matthew, just in time." At the words, the boy's father looked from his book. "How was your visit?" he asked. "The same as always," Matthew murmured gloomily, and sat to eat what he could. He hadn't had much of an appetite since Ginger had disappeared. No more words were exchanged at that. His parents knew how much the subject of Ginger hurt their son. It was hard on all of them, the question lingering over their heads. What happened to the town's sweetheart? Matthew now laid in bed. He often found it hard to sleep, but for some reason, the pitch darkness was oddly comforting. He just stared up at his ceiling, silently thinking to himself, could nothing put his hurting heart at ease? Why? If there was a God, then why would he have done this to Ginger? That was one thing Matthew couldn't wrap his head around. Ginger's family had always been religious, and even Ginger herself had been someone who deeply shared that religion. So if there was a God, then why do this to the sweetest girl he knew? A low, hoarse whisper snapped the brown-haired boy out of his thoughts. He honestly thought that his ears were playing tricks on him. Yeah, he was just tired. That was it. He was tired. Matthew just turned in his bed and closed his heavy eyes. "Matthew!" A yell came this time. The 18-year-old boy sat up in his bed and looked around his room, seeing nothing there. "Mom?" Matthew called into the darkness. No answer. Matthew furrowed his brows and got up from his bed. As soon as his feet hit the ground, he fell back on his bum and looked, squinting his eyes. Water? Once up on his feet again, Matthew turned on the lamp next to his bed, and to his surprise, there was in fact water on his floor. How? He had no idea. Matthew never took any drinks to his room, and this looked like it was all over his floor. "Matthew." He looked up at the voice. "Find me. Help." It sounded like it had been coming from downstairs, and Matthew noticed that the water trailed down the stairs, so he followed. He honestly thought that he was just having a lucid dream. This all just seemed so absurd. The water trail now led outside, and the front door was wide open. "Matthew, help me." A ghostly voice came. "The woods." There was no way. That voice, Matthew, he recognized it. It was Ginger. "Ginger?" Matthew asked, taking a step towards the door. His voice cracked ever so slightly. "The woods," the voice repeated. Matthew grabbed his black sweatshirt off the rack and pulled it over his head before he took off outside and into the woods in front of his house. "Ginger?" Matthew called out as he strolled through the eerie stillness of the woods. "Lake. Water. Everywhere," was all that echoed through the wind, like a whisper. Matthew thought for a moment before he continued to walk. "Water. Hurry." He soon came to the lake that was near the park, about half a mile from his house. As Matthew walked up to the lake, the sound of crying came to his ears. "Hello?" Matthew asked, looking about. In front of him was a girl sitting near the lake, hunched over as she sobbed. She wore nothing but what appeared to be a sea-green bikini swimsuit with little tassels that fell from it, and her crimson hair, dark from being soaked in the water. Though Matthew had called to her, the girl still wailed and cried. "Miss?" Matthew asked, walking towards the girl. There was a gasp, and the woman looked up. This made Matthew's heart sink. "Ginger?" Matthew slowly stepped back. The redhead lifted to her feet, tears flowing down her cheeks, even more than there were. Matt. She wept in an eerie way. "Help me." The poor girl's once tannish skin was now paling and drenched in water. "What happened to you?" the teen boy asked his wailing girlfriend. His voice cracked and wavered. But there was that question. What happened to Ginger? The lake. Find me. Ginger continued to sob. Why me? Why? Matthew was absolutely horrified by the sight in front of him, and he found himself, instead of running, walking towards the girl he loved. "Let me live," Ginger wailed out, water pooling around her body. Matthew! Ginger, what happened? Matthew asked again. He wasn't sure what was going on anymore. Was he still dreaming, or was he hallucinating? "The lake, he dumped me in," she cried. Find me! The color drained from Matthew's face. His girlfriend was in the lake. Without another thought, the brunette dove into the water. He swam to the bottom, and what he saw horrified him. Like it hadn't clicked what he had just done, and now he had found this. The corpse of his decaying love. Beautiful skin, pale red hair floating in the water, and her pearl-colored eyes stuck wide open in fear. Matthew let out a muffled scream and tried to swim away, but something grabbed his ankles, and no matter how much he struggled, he couldn't break free. Ginger. She had grabbed a hold of him and sat there at the bottom of the lake. You found me. Her will came to him, and that was the last thing he heard before he blacked out. It is said that every year during Easter time, another teen goes missing around that lake. God's gifts is what they call them. The lady of the lake saw it fit to take them, just like someone had taken her. If God wasn't going to give her the life she deserved, to be reborn and live, then no one would be able to be happy on the day of resurrection. I hope you enjoyed that story as much as I did. I like that the killer isn't revealed in the end. It's kind of like real life, where we don't always get that happy ending. Make sure to click the like button if you like the art and the story, and to subscribe if you haven't. Don't forget to comment your creepypastas down below, or in my subreddit, which will be linked in the description. Thank you so much for watching, art friends. Until the next video. Bye.